Welcome to Let Me Be Frank, Mike. I'm Mike here with Frank. How are we doing today, Frank?
Awesome, my friend. I'm glad to be back for the 2023 season. It's been a long baseball season, very, very long, and I'm glad it's almost over.
It wasn't too bad. We did have our ups and downs, but it's still relatively profitable. We got the Reds-Cubs game on in the back, but I'm excited to get into football. I'm excited to kind of switch more focus onto that.
We only have, another week, 6 days from the season starts.
Yeah, 6
next
days
Thursday.
from today. Well, let's just jump right into it, Frank. What do you like? Week 1. I know there's not a lot.
I tell you what, as you know, we've been going over the picks for the podcast, and I've been struggling. I mean, I've really, and when I make my picks, I look at 3 different things. I look at numbers. We do our point spread before the game starts, and then I look at rankings. What team's first against the run, against defensive stats, against the pass, and then of course the offense. Who's number 1 in running? Who's number 2? But I don't focus on those kind of numbers actually. And then we got trends. We have Chicago's 1-6 against Green Bay in the last 5 years. Of course, that's not going to change without Aaron Rodgers, right?
Right.
And then we go with our gut. And you as a gambler, I notice, and I've been working with you for a couple of years now, and you do a lot of your gut too, more than the trend. You're definitely not a trend better, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. I'm definitely more of a gut numbers kind of guy. I'm not huge on the trends. If that's what you're into, that's what you're into, and it works for some people. It's just not my cup of tea.
And
Frank's more of an all. He encompasses it all. So if you want that kind of stuff, he's your guy.
And if you want this kind of guy, he knows the injuries and he knows the players a lot more than I do, which is good. But I'm old school.
And I love that about you, Frank. But let's just jump right into it. Who do you like this week?
All right. So I'm going to start with, I know I've got some really off-the-wall picks here.
I know, but that's what makes you great.
I know the fans out there are going to go, what the hell is he thinking? What is on this guy's brain this year? Okay. Again, it's the beginning of the season. We have 18 weeks now.
I know.
And right now, your goal as a player is to out-handicap the handicapper. And that's the key to the first 2 or 3 weeks. And you also got to remember, we have no real preseason anymore. So the first 3 weeks is guys getting out there trying to figure out what the hell they got.
Well, that's why, and you look at these games, Frank, and other than that Thursday night game, Detroit against Kansas City, and I guess Miami against the Chargers, you don't really have any of these totals in the 50s. You got 2 totals in the 50s, and a lot of these totals are mid to low 40s, which I think speaks a lot to the bookmaker saying, these guys are going to be rusty coming out of the gate. And I think that there's a lot of value in the first couple of weeks because the sports books are in the same position that we are.
Exactly.
So it's a little bit easier for us to beat the sports books because, we're kind of going off the same information right now.
Exactly. And their goal is to put a spread up to get money both ways.
Exactly.
They don't give a shit who wins each way. They want money on both sides. Of course, that can't all happen, in a true form of playing. But that's what they're hoping for. They want that 10% VIG. And that's what they're looking for in the first couple of weeks. And they're going to get it, too, because this gambling's been around for a million years.
That it has. And it's only getting bigger. But tell me, Frank.
I don't want to interrupt you real quick, but I want to mention one thing about those totals. I did a little research on totals. Did you know in the last, I would say, 8 years, the average total is 46 points a game.
Interesting.
And last year it dropped to 43. And the last time it fell to 43 was around 2020. This year, if you look at the totals for the first week, they're between, I would say, like you said, 40 and there's a couple 52s, I think, out there.
Yeah, the Detroit-Kansas City game is 54, and I'm looking at Miami Chargers, which is 51. Those are the 2 highest.
And if you look at, the facts that these 3 teams, Kansas averaged 29 points a game last year. Buffalo, 29. Philadelphia did too.
Yeah, I think we all remember that Detroit-Seattle game where I think it was like 45, 42, which is just absurd for an NFL game. So, these totals make sense. I understand why they're coming where they're coming. But a lot of them are quite low, and that 43, 46 range, that makes a lot of sense.
I think the reason it's low is because they don't know what to expect. Again, they're trying to outfigure us, and we're trying to outfigure them. But we're not going to really know any numbers until at least the first 2 or 3 weeks. Then we'll start seeing, oh wow, Kansas jumped right out the get-go, throwing 29 points a game. Your Chicago Bears, I mean, they got good offense. I don't know why you use the Bears as an example, but
They
what
do have
other
an
teams
explosive
that
offense
don't
this
really
year.
score a lot, like Carolinas and those kind of teams. We'll see what Cleveland does with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I'm not
No
sold
one
on
knows what
him.
the hell he's going to do this year
Yeah, we'll
either.
get into that. We'll get into that later. But
You want
let's
to go to my picks here?
yeah, I want to start off with something that really interests me personally on one of your picks, and that is that Rams Seattle game. Tell us what side you're taking, Frank,
All
and
right.
tell us why.
I have mentioned earlier, I'm a numbers guy, trends guy, whatever, gut. I have been following this Rams Seattle for a while, but the Rams have been a good team with Goff, and then Stanford come in, and of course he went to the Super Bowl. But they're in a rebuilding season. They really are. But you still have the core team with Stafford's back, and he's healthy. He was out a lot last year.
He was, yes.
So that didn't help much. They traded Halen Ramsey to Miami, Leonard Floyd. But again, you got Stafford coming back, you got Cooper Kupp coming back, and you got Aaron Donald coming back.
I will say, not to cut you off, Frank, but I will say about the Cooper Kupp thing, he does have that hamstring injury that he's working on. And does that make you a little bit nervous?
I'll be honest with you. I think Stanford is going to be focused because he's healthy, and they have Van Jefferson and Tutu Atwell coming in as other wide receivers. Mm-hmm. So that'll give Cooper Kupp a little bit of, and I think Stanford. I'm hoping Stanford has in the offseason worked with these guys because he's healthy now and he's ready to get back in there. He's been working with these guys. We also have a Higbee for tight end, and Hunter Long came over from Miami for the Ramsey trade. So I got two tight ends. I think Stanford's healthy, and back in the days, again he's older. He was a red zone guy. Stanford when he got in that red zone, he put them up. And so this is what I'm hoping for. Again, I'm my picks this week. A lot of people are going to think, well, I think he's crazy. I think if I can get into the red zone, I think I can pull points out. I'm not so much looking at the Rams winning, and I do have a theory that you don't bet on a dog unless you think the dog can win outright.
Yeah, you are a favorite bettor, which is kind of surprising.
And I'm a favorite bettor, exactly. And because I've been following this series for at least 4 or 5 years, it's been a close game. Last year, I think 19-16 and 23-21. I'm not sure the other score, but there were 3 or 4 point scores. I'm getting 4.5, and I just heard the line went to 5. I think you told me this morning.
It did go to 5 this morning, and I think that's a little bit.
Give me 6. Give me 6, brother.
I think it's a little bit based on that Cooper Kupp news, but I don't really know. I mean, his hamstring will be an issue.
Well, I hope he's playing.
I hope he is too. I love the guy, and he's on a couple. I
actually already bet it, just to let you know.
He's on a couple of my fantasy teams, so I really do.
I'm wishing I didn't, because I might even throw him a bit more on. Please get me 6.5 on Sunday morning.
Well, here's one thing, Frank. I don't want to start off the podcast, arguing with you about it. I'm not arguing
with me this year like you did last year. You ever watch NCIS?
I did.
And you ever watch DiNozzo?
Yeah, you're gonna give me a DiNozzo.
And I call it DiNozzo. I just give you a whack in the back of the head if you keep giving me crap all year.
All right, well, I won't give you too much crap this year.
All right, thank you.
But what I will say is, I'm not a huge fan of this Rams pick, and I'll tell you why. Because you know that I'm Stafford's #1 supporter. He was a Lion. We all know I'm a Lions fan, diehard. I love him. I'm so happy he won a Super Bowl. But here's the thing. This team has a lot of rookies. Like you said, they're kind of in the rebuilding phase.
Oh, very much so.
And you know that I'm actually a little bit higher, not a little bit, a lot of bit higher than a lot of people on the Seattle defense. You have, Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs coming back healthy. They just got one of the best cornerbacks in the draft, Devon Witherspoon. They still have a gem of a pick in. I'm blanking on his name right now. Tariq Woolen. And Bobby Wagner's coming back.
Oh, that
Jordan
Bobby
Brooks
Wagner
is
scares
there.
me.
I mean,
That guy,
and their
I don't
wide
care how
receivers
old he is, that guy can still perform.
and their wide receivers are loaded. You're looking at DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. They just got
Yes.
Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State. Your Ohio State. And
Boy.
so I'm not a huge fan of the pick, but I can see where the value lies. I understand why you're going with the Rams, but I like your balls on this pick. But this is week 1. You got to take a couple risks. You got to take a couple risks. So, what else do you like, Frank? What's your other pick? I know you only got 2.
All right, now, folks, I don't want you to hit the turn off button just yet, okay? Because you're really going to hate me on this pick, and I like Pittsburgh. They're at home. Unfortunately, they are 26th ranked in the scoring. Where am I basing this pick at? And it's not like a trend with the Rams pick. This is more. I like Pittsburgh's defense. I really do. Cameron Hayward, he's coming.
Yeah,
his
it
13
seems like
seasons. It's his second double digits in his sacks.
it seems like that guy's been in the league for 35 years, but he's still such a force.
Just has a little gray hair, probably about a little more than I do, maybe now. T.J. Watts. What can you not say about this guy?
Yeah, probably one of the best defensive players in the whole NFL, to be honest with
you. And Pittsburgh is 1-6 without him, 8-2 with him.
And let me tell you something, Frank.
I like that number.
I mean, I do too. I'll tell you what. I thought about betting this myself. I couldn't get to the window. I couldn't do it.
It's hard. That line went down to 2.5.
I know it's not an ideal line. Pittsburgh is home though. I
bought the half at 3.
I know.
And got over a field goal.
Yeah, but we know how.
Out of that, I can buy 1.
You know how
I buy points last.
I know you love buying points. I hate it.
Give me points, bro. Give me the points.
But I like this Pittsburgh team. I think they're going to be a team to bet on for the whole year. Is this week the week to do it? I don't know. You think so, and I love that. But I do love this Pittsburgh team. Kenny Pickett, I think, is going to make a huge jump this year. I think they've got the weapons on offense. The only question for me is that offensive line. If that offensive line can hold up for Kenny Pickett and give him time in the pocket to throw, I mean, we also have to remember that Kenny Pickett does have a little bit of running in his arsenal. But this defense, like you said, I mean, they're stout. They're going to be amazing. They're going to be so good this year. They have one of the best safeties in Minkah Fitzpatrick, one of the best overall defensive players in T.J. Watt. They got Cameron Hayward, a defensive leader that always puts up close to double-digit sacks. I mean, I like the pick. And we don't even know, Frank, which you brought up to me before the podcast, we don't even know if Nick Bosa is going to be in this game. We don't know.
We don't. And as of now, he has not signed a contract yet. But we still have, we're getting close now. We're getting down to the last week here.
Yeah,
even if he does sign a contract, will he be ready? And he's a key to. I mean, but if you look at Frisco's defense, their other linebackers are pretty good. I mean, that defense is good.
They are very deep. They're very, very deep.
Well, just off the wall, I'm throwing this out here because this came to my head. What do you think the total could be on this game? What is the total?
Well, I know what the total is, and I don't know how I feel it. I feel like it's pretty efficient. It's 41. It's 41.
So that's under that 43 mark.
Yeah, so
last year.
You're looking probably at, they're probably thinking, 21-20, 23-17, somewhere around there. I don't know. I think this Pittsburgh offense is going to be very explosive. I am a real believer in it. This team is going to live and die on T.J. Watt's health, like you discussed, and that offensive line. And the Nick Bosa thing isn't a huge game changer because, like you said, once again, this defense is deep. They have a lot of players.
They've got a lot of offense. Now,
but I'm not a fan.
Trey Lance just blow it last year against the Bears.
Good thing he's in Dallas now and they have Purdy. But I'm not even sold on Purdy,
Now that's another thing I'm basing my bet on Pittsburgh. I don't know what Purdy's got yet. I mean last year he won the first all 7 games that he came out and played last year?
I'm not going to say because I'm not 100% sure, but I mean I know he got blown out in the playoffs by your Philadelphia Eagles, so.
Well, that's a night and day right there. Eagles and Frisco, as far as I'm concerned.
Speaking of the Eagles.
Go ahead. I got my 2 picks in.
Let me jump straight into mine.
There
So
you go.
I like a little more than Frank here, okay?
Yeah, he's done a little more homework. There's nothing I like. I'm not going to lie to you. There's nothing this week. I mean, I might throw Dallas in there later in the week, but we'll see who goes. Go ahead.
So I'm going to start off with Philly since we were just discussing them. I like Philly at -3.5 over New England. It is at New England, yes, but this Philly team, I mean, I'm sold on them. I love Jalen Hurts. They have all the weapons on offense. They just got DeAndre Swift from the Lions, and they got Rashad Penny from the Seahawks. They reloaded their backfield, and they never really used the running back position how a lot of teams do, so I'm not even really worried about that. Their offensive line is one of the best in the NFL. They have two of the best wide receivers, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Their defense is loaded, and they continue to load it with more and more of these Georgia blue blood prospects. Geez, tongue twister there. And I just don't see. I'm not sold on the Mac Jones train. You know that we talked about it all last year. You like him.
I
I
still
don't
like
like
Mac
him.
Jones. I think he needs more time, but time will tell with him. But go ahead about your Philly game.
I just don't like. I don't think this New England offense has enough pieces to beat the Philly defense. I mean, you got Darius Slay in the backfield. You got James Bradbury. You got all these, solid to elite corners. Yes, they lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the Lions. My Lions, great pickup. But they also got Tremaine Edmonds. So this Philly team just continues to reload. They're winners. They're loaded on every single position, and they're deep. And New England's just not. New England's going to try to do the classic Bill Belichick thing, and if it's a low-scoring game, they'll have a chance and they'll stay in. But at 3.5, it doesn't even matter if it's low-scoring. I think this game easily could end up, 27-13 to the Philly side, but it could also end up 24-20. So at 3.5, I think I'm getting a steal here. So I love the Philly play.
I agree with you. I actually was going to come on today with my Philadelphia Eagle hat and my Philadelphia Eagles jersey on. As you know, if you saw any of our shows last year, near the end of the season, I was wearing Eagles colors. I am sold on the Eagles this year. I think they take the Super Bowl. I agree with him. They have added the players that they needed. I think they take it to the next level. I think this is going to be one team that will cover the spread more than you can imagine. I mean, I'm looking at least 10, maybe 11 games against the spread. And when you're throwing numbers out like this, 3.5 and 4.5 with a Philly team. Now, I think the reason this line is that low, my personal opinion, if you look at the defensive ratings on the teams, I think we still have Buffalo. I think I got number 2. They're ranking New England number 3 in defense.
Yeah,
I think that's what they were last year.
Listen, I like the New England defense. Don't get me wrong, but I just can't get past their offensive ineptitude.
I agree with you because I think again,
I don't know if they're going to win.
Eagles will outscore them.
I don't know if they're going to win 6 games this year, and I know everyone's going to hate me for this, but I think the Bill Belichick era is over. I don't understand how he attracts free agents. I don't understand
Dynasty guy.
I think it's done. I don't think you have no Tom Brady there. You haven't shown a culture for winning in a little bit.
I don't know what season Mac Jones. I mean, I see Mac Jones. I mean, what's this? Mac Jones' third year? Third, fourth?
Yeah, third year. Yeah.
What third year could be? I tell you right now, if Mac Jones does not perform this year, Belichick, he's out the door.
Oh, they're not going to fire Belichick. Not in a million years.
No, not Belichick. I meant Mac Jones is out the door.
Oh, we'll see. I don't know. Bill Belichick has those Alabama ties, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm going to jump into my next pick.
All right, yeah, we did enough of this Philadelphia game here.
The next pick I have is I'm picking on another one of the teams that I power rate very weakly, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. I'm sure everyone has been a part of seeing the Indianapolis Colts all over everything with, the whole Jonathan Taylor saga. He's not going to be playing with them. They thought he was going to trade him. And, they just got Anthony Richardson from Florida, and I don't know if anyone watches the preseason. You don't need to. All you need to know is that, he's turnover prone. He's a high upside guy, low floor.
With this guy? Is there any reason for this?
Reason why they drafted him?
No, yeah. Why are they even going with him?
Because he's a high upside guy. He's got a lot of potential, and they're in the rebuilding phase. But that's my whole issue here is what do the Colts have? They have Anthony Richardson. They don't have Jonathan Taylor, who is one of the best running backs in the NFL. They have this very, very solid offensive line, but they All they have is Anthony Richardson to take advantage of it. And their defense, which a couple of years ago, we were talking about one of the better defenses in the NFL. But Darius Leonard's still there. DeForest Buckner's still there. Justin Blackman's still there. But other than that, they got a lot of weak spots on this defense. And we're talking about a team in Jacksonville that has Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne. They're loaded. The only thing that makes me a little bit uneasy about the Jaguars is their defense. I don't think it's that great. I think people can score a lot of points on it. But I don't think Anthony Richardson's the guy to take advantage of. He's too, turnover prone. And we're looking at I'm getting -4.5 here. I think they could win by 2, 3, 4 scores. I think that they're going to blow them out.
That's huge.
I know. I think that this line's way off. I got it at 7. So we're looking at almost 3 points of value for me. So I really like Jacksonville this year.
I have only one, but again, we're looking at what I look at in numbers. The Colts have owned Jacksonville the last 3 or 4 years at home.
Even last year, they somehow beat them.
And maybe this is mentally, I'm not sure, because I'm still trying to pull the daggers out of my heart when the
from
Colts
that Indianapolis
came out and upset Kansas last year.
Yeah, that was wild.
Oh, wild! I mean, the line opened up at 6.5, went all the way down to 4.5, and I was banging it all the way down to 4.5.
We don't want you to have a heart attack. We know that your blood pressure is getting a little high in these.
Yeah, that's right.
Simmer it down. We can't have.
We
don't want to bring up. We don't want to bring up past
Colts,
traumas.
guys.
We don't want to bring up past traumas.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, you'll put me back in the home. They just got me out, last week for this podcast. Just to let y'all know.
Yeah, we got them on a limited basis. Okay, well, those are my 2 big plays. Those are your 2 big plays. I do have a couple leans.
I actually do too, but go ahead.
But I'm only going to touch on one of them, and then I'll touch on a little bit of them for our Dakota Dog of the Week, which is back, and our teaser of the week. And we're actually going to do, Frank and I are doing at the Stations Casino, Last Man Standing. So we'll give you our Last Man Standing picks at the end as well. But my one lean that I kind of have is Cincinnati, -2.5 at Cleveland. And let me tell you why this is strictly a lean, and I haven't played it yet, and I don't even know if I'll play it. Burrow is banged up. He's a question mark, right? And we don't know, like Frank said a million times last year and just earlier this podcast, we don't know what we're going to get from Deshaun Watson. What we do know is that Cleveland has a solid defense, and what we do know is that Cincinnati has probably the best wide receiving group in, the whole NFL. But here's the thing is we don't know what's going to happen with these quarterbacks. If come game time, I get a little bit more information about what's going on with Deshaun, how he's looking, and what's going on with Joe and how he's feeling, I might be banging Cincinnati -2.5. I know that Joe Burrow in this offense can beat anyone they want, and I'm not sold on Cleveland. So that's my lean right there is Cincinnati -2.5. Do you want to touch on any of your leans, Frank?
I just want to mention the Cincinnati-Cleveland game. Cleveland beat Cincinnati twice last year at home. But I agree with him. I'm having troubles with Deshaun Watson. I'm having troubles. And I know everybody out there on ESPN and all your analysts are out there. Oh, this is, Deshaun's had time to warm up. And can he perform the way he was back in, 2020 when he had his great year?
Yeah.
I was never a fan of his. But, again, remember last year we talked about the Eagles in the beginning. Well, let's not touch the Eagles until we see what Hurst got. Let's not touch the Chargers until we see what the quarterback for San Diego did. And, of course, after the first week, we were just like, oh, wow.
Yeah, this is a team.
So in the first week, I would say in the first 3 weeks, you still have to observe before you get too crazy with a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I mean, I'm still going to keep my unit the same, but I'm going to limit the games, and I'm only going to do things that I have strong feelings on, where, later in the year I might take a chance on some leans. But just right now, there's so many changes that occur, and you really have to watch these games to see how these teams mesh and how they perform and how they do together.
I'll go with my lean. Again, I'm definitely taking a kayak and going up the wrong way on this river here. I'm going with Dallas. I'm a Giants fan. I won't lie to you.
You're a fucking everything fan, Frank.
Yeah, well, that's true. What do they call that, fair weather fan? But I've been a Giant fan and a Viking fan.
I call it a bandwagon BITCH.
Okay, fine. You know what? DWWD. We saw that on a show somewhere. And it's this is what we do. This is what we do.
His Alzheimer's was acting up there for a second.
Oh, I'm losing my microphone here. Okay, I'm going to go with Dallas. I think Dallas is. I think Giants had a fluke of a season last year. I think Dallas is ready to step it up.
Yeah, I don't hate this pick. I think Dallas could challenge Philly for the division. I feel like it's that every year. It's Dallas and Philly, Dallas and Philly, Dallas and Philly. But I don't know. I do like this Dallas team. It's going to come down. They're going to live and die by Dak Prescott, as most teams do, live and die by quarterback play. But they have the defense. Their defense is vaunted, and they have the weapons on offense. It's just going to come down to what they can do. And I actually kind of like Dallas and also thought about betting them, but the thing is I don't know what to expect from this Giants team. I didn't like them last year. I don't like them this year. I don't think they're a very good team, but they seem to always come out and surprise me. I love Saquon. I love Daniel Jones, but I don't know. It's definitely a sit back and watch, but I'll be rooting for you, Frank. That's for sure.
If I even bet the game. But it's going to be a great game for me to watch.
It will be a fun game to watch, and that is Sunday night.
I'm going to break into something that you weren't expecting.
I love it when he gives me surprises.
I love doing this myself because it's kind of shocks him a little bit. I get what he's thinking off his head. The weekend's going to go through and everybody's going to be betting college all day Saturday, and then whatever money they have left over. Hopefully, me and you are going to be way ahead of the game by the time Sunday comes in.
We'll see.
But Monday, I think this is going to be one hell of a Monday night game. Buffalo against the Jets. Now, we're not picking a side on this game. I mean, we can give us I'll give my opinion.
Why don't you just tell me what you want from me, Frank? You want me to tell you who I like in this game?
I mean, if all you poor souls down there are down $50 and you want to get your $50 back.
I don't suggest chasing. I just want to make that very clear.
We're not chasing. We don't chase, by the way. As professional gamblers, and you do not want to chase. Just wait till next week and pick your games, and that's where you're going to make your money.
Exactly. But
this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
But
so
if
back
you want
to the Buffalo Jets game.
Are you going to let me talk?
No.
Okay. So he's going to ask me a question and then not let me say anything about
That's
it.
Right.
Anyway, the point is I don't know who I like in this game. To be honest with you, Aaron Rodgers had a lackluster season last year, but the Jets defense is one of my favorites, which you know. And it's hard to bet against Josh Allen because he just finds ways to win games. So if I had to go here, I think I have to go with Josh Allen and the Bills. I don't love it, and I definitely will not be betting it. Maybe come Monday night, if I want to watch it, I'll put it on and put $20 on something. I'll probably just be playing props. But
that's another thing. I hope as the season goes and we start seeing some numbers on prop bets. I know a lot of you younger players, including him, prop bets have become huge. I mean, it seems like every podcast I see with young guys on it, they're adding a lot of prop bets to this. I mean, this is what's making FanDuel and DraftKings huge, by the way. But I'm not going to get into all of that right now. That's in the future.
Yeah, we'll touch on it later in the year when we get a little bit more into our numbers.
So anyways, my opinion, I like Buffalo myself. I'm going to wait and see on the Jets again. Again, it's too early in the season to see. But we have to go with what experience.
Yeah, we got to see a little bit more from this new revival Jets team. Yeah. But here, let's get to our Dakota Dog of the Week, then we'll hit our teaser of the week, and then we'll do Last Man Standing. And we'll give a little blurb on why we chose each team. As you guys know, in case you guys needed a reminder, Dakota Dog of the Week, I pick a moneyline dog. Frank picks a moneyline dog. We put it in a parlay. And then for the teaser, I pick a team to tease. He picks a team to tease. And we put it together. And then our Last Man Standing will obviously be, whoever we think is just going to win that week. And we'll continue on. And hopefully we win it all at stations. But we'll keep you up to date on that. So the Dakota Dog of the Week, for me, on my side, I'm going to be taking Carolina over Atlanta. I think that Atlanta has a little bit too much hype around him. I hate Desmond Ridder as a quarterback. I don't think he's ready for the big time, and maybe he'll prove me wrong. But I don't think they upgraded that much this year. They have a lot of new pieces on defense, but we're just going to have to see how that meshes. And I think that Carolina is going to have a dynamic offense this year. I think Miles Sanders, thank God, is finally going to get used how he deserves to be used. And I think that they're going to pull this game out. And Frank's pick is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, which we already touched on quite a bit, against the San Francisco 49ers.
Upset.
Then our teaser of the week is going to be, back to Frank's pick, the Rams, +5 now. So you're getting 11 points. I mean, how can you not like that? That's a lot of points for a divisional game. It's going to be tough. If the Rams are not going to be shipping it in like they were last year. They're going to be trying. They still want to make the playoffs. Stafford's no rollover. And then my choice will be the Packers. Listen, this Packers team, their defense is very solid still, and they have a lot of pieces still on offense. Their offensive line's still immaculate. The only big difference is Aaron Rodgers is not there anymore. It's Jordan Love. Jordan Love, though, I'm not a big fan of him, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers really played that well last year. And he had a lot of issues with the rookie wide receivers, which I don't think Jordan Love will. And I think that, if you're going to give me 8 points in, once again, a divisional game in the NFC North, I think that I'll take that every day of the week and, twice on Sunday. So those are our Dakota Dog of the Week and our teaser of the week. And then we're going to go with our last man standing. Frank, you want to kick it off with your pick?
I don't like taking these top teams against the weakest teams. Sometimes those are huge upsets too. And of course, down along the line, you're going to need those top teams. So it's kind of our last man standing is to take a weaker team and just hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
But again, because I have no clue this week, which is really sad, I'm going with Baltimore. I think they're going to be weak. I think Texas is going to put some points up, or Houston's going to put some points up. We're missing Humphrey, cornerback, and we're dealing with all rookies back there. So that pass rush better be doing their job. But I'm going with Baltimore to pull this game out one way or the other.
And then I'm going to go with my Jacksonville team. I have to. I just told you guys I think they're going to win by 2 or 3 scores. So how can I not? That's a team that's, like Frank said, you don't really want to use your top teams right off the bat. And Jacksonville, I think they could be a top team, but they're not really considered one. So I'm going to be going with Jacksonville. Frank's going to be going with Baltimore. And thanks for watching our first episode of Let Me Be Frank Mike with Mike and Frank. And let's win some money on this 2023 NFL football season.
So glad to be back. It's been a long season. I'm glad we are in Vegas. I wish I could pull these curtains apart because we can't see too much, but we are in the valley here. Hopefully we're going to be doing some shows in some casinos and sport books. We're just going to see how it flies. But I'm so glad it's back. And I'm glad I'm back in Vegas. I'm sure Mike is glad he's back in Vegas also. I miss Seattle a little bit, but I do miss my friends.
That was Frank's epilogue for the episode. You knew you
You're
were going to
welcome.
get it one of these times. Well, let's cash some tickets, ladies and gentlemen, and have a good week.